Steve was talking about being married, please meet Janie Hammond, who is Steve's wife, and we have invited Dr. Leo Woolman. Dr. Woolman is a psychiatrist, and for the past 28 years has dealt exclusively with gender issues, and since this is a gender issue that we're talking about, we felt we needed somebody to give us some help. Question.
I just wanted to know if Toby's family stood behind him, or have they rejected you at all?
I think when you talk about families, the thing to remember is that the way a family responds to a gender issue or a disabled child or a divorce or any other kind of issue has more to do with the way the family functions than the fact that there's a gender issue or a disability or a divorce or anything else.
Yeah, I just personally wanted to say that I think God is androgynous, neither or. And Toby, I think you seem a little angry, but I'd like to say I'll be your friend. I'll accept you just as you are.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to ask Steve a question. You said that when you were born, you did not have a vaginal opening. Didn't that concern your doctors or your parents? I mean, it would seem to me that at that point you would begin to look for the possibility of a birth defect.
Yeah, that's the big mystery in my life. I don't understand why they didn't catch it.
Doctor, why might they not have caught that?
It might have been 3 in the morning. The doctor might have been a little tired. Sometimes the clitoris looks like a penis and the penis like a clitoris. The vaginal lips might look like a scrotum. So it's not too difficult.
You know, if you're in a hospital, is it a rural hospital?
It's in Bellefontaine, Ohio.
Yeah, it's a rural hospital, 3 in the morning. There have been a lot of babies born. Yeah, it's a girl, and off it goes, right?
Toby, you talked earlier about having a dog and loving your dog and, you know, wanting to spend the rest of your life with it. Well, that's fine. You know, I have a dog and I love my dog, but isn't there any desire to bridge the gap between us and you? I mean, don't you feel alone? Don't you feel like, don't you feel like you want to make some connection with us?
I have connections with people who come into my life that I decide I want connections with. It doesn't matter to me if those people are males or females or anything else. If they're nice people and they accept me the way I am and I like the way they are, we have connections.
I was just wondering, when you go out to a public place and you have to go to the restroom, and also which do you use, and then when you shop or when you're going out like formally, do you dress male or female? It's kind of, there's nothing that you would wear that would be neutral.
This is where it helps to be a starving grad student. Nobody expects you to have good clothes and to go out and be formal.
What are you studying in school?
Developmental psychology.
Psychology?
Yes.
And what do you use, the men's room or the woman's room?
Usually I avoid that situation whenever possible. If it's absolutely necessary and there's no way around it, I look around and I see where am I least likely to be walked in on. If I'm in a place where there's like a truck stop, hundreds of men and only a few women, I'll use the women's room. If I'm in a place like a grocery store usually, where there's lots of women in and out of the women's room and nobody in the men's room, I'll use the men's room. I have been known to walk into one and notice there's no soap here, or there's no towels or something, so I walk out and go into the other one.
So you've adapted your bladder to suit the circumstance?
My bladder is the same either way.
But
Doctor, how many neutral people are there more than we know of?
The secret is, this is the first one I've seen.
Yeah. And you've been studying gender.
And I've seen over 3,500 gender-related patients who are confused. But this is the first time I saw somebody who was neither this nor that. I'm curious to know what your chromosomal pattern is. Did they do that?
They did that, and I consider it irrelevant information. It's sort of like if you had someone who was born without eyes, and you say to this person, what color eyes do you have? The person says, I don't have any eyes.
But it helps to know whether you're XX or XY.
Why does it help? If you did a chromosome check on eye color, and you said, well, if you had eyes, they would be green.
But that doesn't
You still have a person who doesn't.
Is it XX or XY?
I think that's irrelevant, and I don't see any point in
Okay. Doctor, do you see if there's no parts, then, and you had, let's say you had a male chromosome X, whatever it is, I don't, you know.
XY.
And you still had no penis, no testicles, no male hormones, no anything,
That's irrelevant. There are many kinds of sex. One of the sexes is chromosomal sex. One is genetic sex. One is social sex. there are different kinds, physical sex, and Toby doesn't like to be put in any category, and that is Toby's right. But it would be interesting from a professional point of view to know what the chromosomal type was. If it were 85% of all cells have some chromatin, they call it bar bodies, B-A-R-R, and if it's XY, then we say this is a male. The Olympics
yeah, but
did that.
If you took a chromosome, said Toby's a man, and Toby didn't have man's parts, what good is it for Toby to be a man?
No, I wouldn't say Toby is a man. I would say that Toby has the chromosomes of the male type.
I would like to know from Toby if it's accurate to picture your body as like a baby doll.
That might be fairly accurate. Just a generic economy model, no frills added.
I want to ask Toby, when you go to Macy's or you get up in the morning, do you take a dress as well as pants, or you say, oh, I feel like this today?
No.
Your wardrobe is all pants?
Wear my jeans or my sweatshirts or whatever.
What if you feel like a skirt today? You put the skirt on?
Why would I feel like a skirt? I wore skirts for 12 years. They're awkward and they're inconvenient and they come up and your tights rip and why would anybody want to bother with that?
Doctor, is it possible that Toby is the only person in the world without male and female parts?
I could only say that Toby is the only person that at least I know, that has this configuration. And
but,
this
I mean,
also psychological...
Aren't there medical journals that would say that there are people like this?
If there are, I haven't seen them or read about them.
There are people that don't have developed sexual or reproductive organs. What is, like, it may be unique, I hope not unique, but what I haven't heard of before is someone with such a condition identifying as a neuter rather than as a female or a male. Usually if the baby is assigned as a female, they take it home and they say it's a female, and then at puberty when nothing happens, they will give hormones like I described before, and the person will be living as a woman.
Jane, when you met Steve, was Steve he or her?
He was a he. He just changed over to, the doctor had just examined him, took all the tests that he was talking about Toby taking, and they found out that he's completely male, and they told him the 4 surgeries that he'd have to take. Then we had a friend that knew both of us, but she hadn't mentioned any names or anything. She was just telling me about a person she was concerned about. And we were going shopping one day, and she said, I need to check on a friend. I said, fine. And that's the first time I saw him. And he was, you know, he just had jogging pants and stuff on, you know. To me, when I first looked at him, you know, to me, he was a male.
We'll take a break. We'll come back with some more of your story. It's fascinating.